All right, let's get to some headlines from across the state. You want to do 7-on-7 first? You want to do recruiting first?
Let's go ahead and get the recruiting out of the way.
Okay.
Then we can chat 7 on 7.
This was Friday. Friday, right? Yeah, Friday.
Sure. I don't know. Time had no meaning out
No, it was
there.
Thursday because our buddies were driving up, our recruiting buddies, and they had to pull over. Thursday came word, and normally we save recruiting talk for This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, but this is an out-of-state prospect, so we won't talk about him. The Texas Longhorns got some good news.
They did.
Some of the best news they've had in a long time, and that is that Arch Manning, pretty much the consensus number one player in the class of 2023, committed to the Texas Longhorns on Thursday. He did so by just creating a Twitter account and tweeting it out, and just saying, hey, I'm committed to the University of Texas. There was no graphic. There was no, hype video. It was just like, hey.
It was him in a picture of a Longhorn shirt.
It was him in a picture, I think at, a Longhorns camp or something, just throwing in a Longhorns shirt. Yeah, that's big news. Big news for a program that has been starved for elite quarterback play, at least, or they think they've been starved for elite quarterback play. And there was I think it's funny that there was a little bit of wringing of hands from people about what this means for Quinn Ewers and things like that. I think the game plan here is pretty clear, and I would imagine that Arch Manning wouldn't have committed if he hadn't signed up for it. That's me, and he hasn't signed in anything like that. But Quinn Ewers is almost certainly, I would be pretty stunned if he didn't start this year.
Yep.
Is that fair?
So there's
2022.
1 year.
He's probably going to start next year too, 2023.
And
when
then
Arch
have
Manning
Arch
is a freshman.
behind him.
And Arch Manning is a freshman.
Let him get a redshirt freshman year.
Right. He would probably take a redshirt or just be the backup, whatever, in 2023. After 2023,
Quinn's probably going to declare for the draft.
It would be pretty stunning if he wasn't.
Right.
At that point. And so I would assume that, I'm sure they said, hey, you're going to come in and you can compete for the starting job as a freshman, but you should know what the score is. I think everybody can kind of see the way the wind is blowing on that. I would think that if you are Texas Longhorns, you have just laid out at least what you hope is the next 4 years of your quarterback play.
Right.
Which is Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning.
And on top of that, if that doesn't push Quinn Ewers, I feel like Longhorn fans should be looking at this as another blessing in the fact that you would think that now Quinn Ewers has it in the back of his mind. I have to go out here and ball out this year, or else he's going to come take my job next year. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yo, absolutely. It is. It's very. It's obviously a big deal. You get the number one recruit. You've started to already see a little bit of a trickle down effect. Other people commit. I think they picked up 4 or 5 commits yesterday. So this would be big. This would be big if they were able to hold on to him. But Arch Manning's committed to the University of Texas. And in a lot of ways, this is why they hired Steve Sarkisian. They hired Steve Sarkisian to come in and bring in quarterbacks and develop quarterbacks and have elite quarterback play. Well, now, year 2, he's going to have Quinn Ewers. And then he's got the heir apparent locked in. Now, if you're talking about guys that you would watch for the portal, Malik Murphy, Hudson Card.
Yep.
I'll keep an eye on those guys for the portal. But for now, Texas has got to feel, at least from the outset, they haven't taken a snap for neither of them taken a snap for the Texas Longhorns. But for the Texas Longhorns, they've got to feel pretty good about what their quarterback situation is going to be going forward. Okay. Let's go from Austin to College Station, but not talk about college football. We'll talk about high school football, specifically the state 7-on-7 tournament went down this weekend in College Station. We were there. We gave you wall-to-wall coverage. Thanks to everybody who tuned in on Texan Live.
Yeah.
A lot of you did.
I've seen the numbers, and thank you.
And they were large. They were large numbers, so we appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yeah, shout out to our Texan Live crew as well.
It was a lot of fun for us. On the way, I'll tell a quick story. On the way down there, we took the swag wagon. It was myself driving. It was Ishmael sitting shotgun, and then it was
the two hooligans in the back.
Our producers, Ashley Pickle and Mallory Hartley, sitting in the back seat of the swag wagon. We're driving along. Get to Ennis. Mallory says, "Stop the car." I want to go and I want to get a beef jerky stick. Okay, pull over the car. So I'm gonna fill up with gas too. We're at about a third of a tank, but it's like, you know what? Might as well fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
Fill up the car. I drop you kids off to go inside to Buc-ee's.
Mm-hmm.
Then
you go to put
gas in the car.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I was able to start the car without help. Because the car died, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, it was an issue with the battery and the terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, after about 45 minutes, a gentleman who works for like a wrecker service saw us and was like, hey, you guys need some help? I'm like, yes, please. You also did tell me you were like, hey, like I had gone inside because I was like, I'm starving. I've got to eat something.
So when he goes inside, I pop open the hood of the trunk,
and you
I'm
see
like,
there's corrosion on the battery.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, hey, you text me and you go, hey, get a bottle of Coke while you're in there. I tell you, I'm like, why? You go, because the Coke it kills the corrosion on the battery.
Mm-hmm.
To which I believe I replied, and I'll edit it, I'll censor it for the internet. That's the most Lano-S I've ever heard.
When I'm telling you, I texted him, he didn't see it. He walks out,
Yeah.
and I said, hey, did you get a bottle of Coke? And he just looks at me, and I said,
Like, did
I
you just
need
want
a bottle
did
of
you want a Coke? I was
Yeah.
like,
He was
okay.
like, why? I was like, I need to fix the car. And he goes,
What?
and he just looks, and Ish is looking at me, and Mallory's looking at me, and they were like, okay, Pickle, whatever you say.
Sure enough, it does work.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so pro tip, just literally pour the Coke on the battery, and the corrosion will go.
But luckily, it was a gentleman named Dustin
Mm-hmm.
from a wrecker service in Athens. So shout out to Dustin. He was able to fix us up enough that the car would start, and we
Yep.
were able to drive it north to a car shop where a gentleman named Michael came out and gave us a more semi-permanent fix.
Yeah,
So
we needed a hammer is
shout
what
out,
we needed.
shout out to both those dudes who were able to come and get us back on the road. We made it down to College Station. Then we got it into like a dealership and got it fixed up for realsies. So now it's like good. But we were able to get down there. The 7-on-7 action was it was really interesting. I would encourage you guys to go in and watch the instant reactions we did on Thursday night and Friday night, because I really think that tells you the story of what it was. In Division 2 and Division 3, what I thought was really interesting was the parity involved. Division 3 especially, and I think you take a look at who won the Division 3 title, it was, I would say, a pair of party crashers.
Oh, yeah.
Miles took down Brady in the title game. Miles was a team that went 1-2 in pool play, but in Division 3, everyone qualifies for the it's just for seeding. Pool play is just for seeding, and then they found their way into and got
then
hot
it's
the right
single
time.
elimination on the
Single elimination at
championship
that
day,
point.
which is Friday for them.
They got hot, and they made it all the way to a title game and ended up winning the darn thing. It was exceptionally impressive, what they were able to do. Their quarterback, Haven Book, was very strong. Their defense stepped up in a big way. I thought Brady impressed me too, and I saw them play Marlin in pool play, and I came away really impressed with Brady. Hayden Barnett, their quarterback, was very strong. But in the end, Miles, I believe... Yeah, I'm fairly certain the first ever 2A Division II team to win the state 7-on-7 title.
Yeah, and they looked great.
They looked really good. It was not a fluke.
It did not look like a fluke at all.
And they really. It's funny. It got to the semifinals, and I don't know if you remember this, but it was Miles against Gunner, and it was Brady against Harmony, and more or less,
those were the two favorites.
We just kind of looked at each other and like, all right, well, it'll be Gunner versus Harmony, and that'll be a pretty good time.
Yeah, because Gunner went 3-0 on the first day, and then continued to just kill people until they got up into the semifinal.
But instead, it's Miles who springs the upset, and then Brady springs the upset. So impressive from the Miles Bulldogs, who went on a relatively stunning run to win their first ever 7 state championship. So there's parity in Division 3. Division 2, there is parity really with the exception of one team, and that's the team that won it. Let's talk a little bit about Hitchcock. Okay,
Yep.
Hitchcock polishes off a perfect run in College Station. They go 8-0, 3-0 in pool play, 5-0 in the Division 3 or Division 2 bracket. They end up beating Lorena 33-6 in the title game. And let me tell you, this Hitchcock team, and Step was telling me this, they apparently in qualifying were just clubbing people.
Yeah, this was not a they got on a hot streak at the state tournament thing.
They looked like the best team in Division II pretty much from the word go, and were exceptionally impressive. Their sophomore quarterback, Lloyd Jones III.
Yeah, so we watched them. Ish Mallory and I watched them from the quarterfinals on. We watched every single one of their games, and the first one we're going, okay, this looks impressive, and then we get to the semifinal game, and we're sitting there with our buddy Hudson from 247, and he goes, because they have a commit they have a recruit that got an offer from Oregon, and I want to say maybe Ole Miss possibly. So we knew that kid was good, and then we saw another receiver, and we're
Daniel maybe.
Yeah, he's a senior, and we're going, okay, he's really good, and we're going, look at this quarterback, like, who is this kid? And Hudson went up and asked, and he was like, if it's 2025, I'm going to be pumped, and it is.
He's a sophomore.
He is unbelievable, and they have literally every single receiver could just juke anyone that was standing in their
Lloyd
path.
Jones III was probably the best quarterback in the Division II bracket. And that's saying
good frame too.
Good frame, tall kid. He's
6'3".
He is a babyface assassin, man. He's
6'3", like 15-year-old.
He's got braces and he looks like a little baby. But man,
he can sling it.
But he can sling it. That kid is a star. Lloyd Jones III was exceptional. He's a first-team All-District player as a defensive back, and then he was a receiver last year as a freshman. I think he found a spot. Yep. And I talked with Craig Smith, the coach at Hitchcock. Remember, coaches can't coach in 7-on-7, but they're all there to watch their kids. And he was telling me, he's like, we got some young kids. Like we're gonna be a force, and by all accounts they are going to be. We also watched Lorena, who lost in the title game. They got Jaden Porter, and he's the real stinking deal.
Oh, yeah. He looks like a man amongst boys.
He's the real stinking deal. Their quarterback, Jackson Generals, excellent quarterback name.
Yes.
Jackson Generals, he is a little undersized, but man, he's got a howitzer connected to his shoulder.
Dude, we got to look it up, but I'm telling you, he has to be a shortstop or a second baseman for them because
I was talking with the Lorena assistant coach, or or I guess it was the Lorena 7-on-7 coach, and he's like, yeah, he's our second baseman.
Ha! I called it. I
second
knew
baseman
it.
Or shortstop. I don't know what he said.
I knew it. He had it, and the way he zips his passes too. I mean, he almost throws it more like a little bit of a baseball, but when you have him on any sort of the slant routes, there was no doubt he was going to hit them on the money every single time.
It gets out in a hurry, and it's on the money. So if you're thinking Lorena's going away, don't you are mistaken. But in the end, it's Hitchcock that wins the Division II title. And then Division I rolled around. They started the tournament right after that. We rolled around at pool play. I think everybody was really paying attention to the consolation bracket, specifically the run that Coppell went on. Many people are calling it the miracle on the Brazos.
Okay, Antonio Wiley, big fan. This can't be a thing.
The miracle on the Brazos.
You know how many times I saw pew pew this weekend?
I just want you to put the word out. Put the word out there.
We back up.
Okay. Coppell did go to the semifinals of the consolation bracket, but
this was a lot more surprising of a division.
Yeah, a little bit more surprising, but I would say that especially what ended up happening, especially in pool play. You're right. The teams that what was most notable was the teams that missed the championship bracket.
Westlake, Lake Travis.
Westlake, Lake Travis,
Shadow Creek,
Hebron, the defending champs, and Shadow Creek all missed the championship bracket. They all played in the consolation bracket. And Westlake, every year, this happens every year. Every year there's a few favorites that don't make it to the championship bracket, and then they wake up on Saturday and just say, nah.
I think I'm good.
Yeah. And I believe they lost to Amarillo in the first
round. Yeah.
And it was like, now I'm not particularly worried about Westlake.
No.
I think that they were a little underwhelming in College Station, but I would not put a worry on them. They're a team that's going to end up winning with their lines, with fronts, with the defensive front and their offensive line. I will say it's an unfair bar. Because you're following Kate Klubnik.
Right.
Jaden Greathouse is still great and stuff like that. It'll be a different looking Westlake offense. I'll say that. They may run the ball a lot more, which will be very interesting to see. But in any case, it was in the championship bracket. The winners were the DeSoto Eagles, who were a team that we had kind of picked out as one of the on the short list of teams that could win the Division 1 title. DJ Bailey, their quarterback, has grown up a lot.
Yes.
Jonte Cook is a star. I don't need to tell you that. They've
when
got
he
weaponry.
stays in the game.
He was cramping up their leg.
He got kicked out of 2 games. So.
Oh, did he really? Oh, I did not
Yeah,
know that.
he's very boisterous. He has a strong mouth on him.
He'll chat with you.
He'll have words.
He'll chat with you. But they end up winning the Division 1 bracket. And in a lot of ways, I think the defense was what set the tone for them. Their defense really played well and kind of allowed them to get out into leads. They end up beating Midlothian Heritage in the state championship game.
It's just ball hawks everywhere.
They got
with
playmakers.
The defensive backs.
They've got playmakers. Make no mistake about it. DeSoto is going to be a problem in the fall as well. But we had a great time down there in College Station, and a tremendous event as always. It was warm.
Can I point out one more team here?
Sure.
The Harker Heights defense, I'm marking it down on June 27th. They are for real this year.
I think that whole team is for real.
They really are. That defense is unbelievable.
There were a number of teams that really looked good on the hoof.
Because they have Rashawn
Sanford.
Yeah.
And then they've got a little squirt wide receiver. I mean that in a nice way. He's like undersized, but man, he could juke you out of a phone booth.
We saw they had an interception at one point, and I wish I could remember who it was, but legitimately, the kid juked someone so hard, got out of the golf cart and lost his mind. Yeah. It was awesome.
Very
that Harker
and one
Heights
mixtape.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. It was an exceptional. It was exceptional stuff. So I was them. They looked good on the hoof.
And then Austin Novosad, we know how good he is. Oh my God, that was fun. That was a clinic to watch.
Springs,
yeah,
he was exceptional. The J.C. Evans quarterback, San Antonio Brandeis, looked great. Mesquite Horn's quarterback. Mesquite Horn looked really good.
They looked really good.
I would also Longview looked very good. They went 3-0 in pool play.
They've got some
They look good.
My goodness.
They look good on the hoof.
Red Oak, that's a team that walks off the bus and you go, oh God.
Red Oak's the same way. Just some teams that look the part. They look the part. And so it was a fun day a fun weekend down there in College Station at the State 7-on-7 tournament. I'm glad to be back in air conditioning. I'm an indoor cat.
Yep.
But we had a great time down there in College Station.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.